Hi, Lady 11 here. I am exhausted. Please don't mind me. It is Friday the 13th, so you can imagine the type of day I had. I'm actually going to make an extra video regarding that due to everybody's not fully understanding the day and energy that it perceives. So I'm actually going to make an extra video called Friday the 13th special. So check that out later. But I do apologize in advance. I am filming at 11 o'clock at night. So here's the 11 again. It was unpurposeful. So welcome to the episode of Cowboy in the 100-Year-Old Building. So at this point, this actually happened to me a couple months ago. I actually started meditating consistently for twice a day. So twice a day, I would take 5 to 10 minutes meditating, collecting myself, de-stressing. And I noticed that my sensitivities towards energies has actually heightened each time I meditated. So you can imagine that the smallest electricity can actually be like, I was like, what is that? That's a small vibration from the wall. And my managers would be like, oh, what's wrong with you? I was like, do you feel that? So they're like, there's actually wiring behind there. I was like, oh, okay, great. Problem solved. So I did that a lot, actually. My sensitivity was heightened to the point where I can actually feel tiny electricity all throughout my surrounding. And what happened was that at this point, I started realizing that each time that a spirit was nearby, my heart rate would increase and a small bone in the base of my skull would send off tiny vibrations. And it was really interesting because I actually work in a haunted building. So having it tested out was really good for me for practice, and because it was notoriously haunted, because it's notoriously old. Now, each time some would pass by, I would have an increased heart rate. The bone would send off a small vibration, and I would be like, okay, what was that? Why am I feeling so uneasy? And then that's when I started to realize that there were spirits nearby. Don't mind me, I'm going through a cold. So yeah, it was really good practice for me to start listening to my body as to what it all meant. And one day I was working in my sister's shop. She had inherited a shop in the middle of the city, and it was a shop in the middle of a 100-year-old building. And it was built in 1918. I did some research on it, and yeah, it's extremely old. When you go in, you can actually feel that it actually has old wiring, old water pipes, but it's still a very functional store. So it had a great location, and my sister decided to pick it up. And we had closed really late that night because it was a Saturday night. So we closed at 11. There's the 11 again. And she was saying that, oh, I'm burning incense, and can you come downstairs with me? I was like, wait, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, there's a spirit downstairs, and we're burning incense to him to appease him and keep him happy. And I was like, you're doing what? And we're going nowhere? And she was like, come on down. It's not that bad. I was like, sure. That's fine. And just so you know that my sister actually has sensitivities of her own. She has a strong sense, and she has abilities of her own. So she brings me downstairs, and it's actually a very old staircase made of wood. And once you see it, it has one light bulb, and yeah, she has one light bulb, and it was an extremely old storeroom that looked like it was built in the 1920s. It looked like it was just dug, and then it had a foundation. So when I turned to the left, she was gone, and I was like, where did she go? Turns out that she went to the end of the hallway where it was not lit at all. And the only way that I could see that it was her was from the burning of the incense. And I was like, okay, great, there she was. But staring back at me from the darkness was basically the spirit. And I have the, for those of you that wonder how I know, is that it's kind of like a creature that is looking at you from the darkness when you're looking into the woods or if you're camping. And it felt exactly like that. And you can't see it, but it can clearly see you. And then so my sister started realizing, she was like, oh no, it's her first time down here. She's still realizing her sensitivities. I better bring her back upstairs. So she said that, okay, let's go. And I was like, okay, great. It's finally over. I can do this. So I went back upstairs, and she had started cashing out, but the cowboy, the man, the spirit, actually followed us upstairs and standing in the doorway of the storeroom. And there it was, staring at me, and I still suppressed that part of the gift where I could see it, but I could feel it gazing at me. It was actually sizing me up to see if I was friend or foe. And because I was still deciding what to do with this gift, I accidentally gave off an aggressive energy where I will defend myself if attacked. So there he was. I gave off the aggressive attitude, energy, and he just disappeared. And I was like, okay, great. Glad that's over. And the next day, I had went to dinner with my friend. And right in the middle of dinner, as I was talking, I stopped. And I was like, something has happened. And my friend was like, huh? And I was like, no, don't mind me. I think something happened. I have a sixth sense. And he's like, oh, okay. And then 10 minutes later, I got a phone call from my sister's staff saying that my sister had gotten into an accident and is now riding the ambulance to the hospital, and to ask me to meet her there. So I rushed there, and thinking on my way there that this was entirely my fault. I was like, how can you do this? How can you give off such an aggressive spirit, like energy? So I blamed myself all the way there, and I just wanted to make sure she was okay. So as soon as she was still drowsy from the painkillers, and I could tell that she had to get 6 stitches, and I felt awful. So when she came to, she told me what had happened, and I was like, is this my fault? I'm so sorry. She's like, no. The stitches was right here. So she's saying that the spirit had actually pushed the item out of the way before she lost her eye. Like, there was a high possibility that could have just flashed and she would have lost her eye. So that's the impression that she got from her sixth sense, and I've always trusted her. So I was like, okay, great. I'm so glad you're okay. And then that night we went home, and in the morning I knew that I had to do something. So I stood in front of the window and I went into meditation mode. Meditation has so many functions. It can help you de-stress. It can heighten sensitivities. It can help you improve your memory. And for a medium like me, I used it as a way to communicate with the spirit 10 kilometers away. So I made contact, and in the dark room, he was talking back at me, and he was telling me that, actually, I apologized first. I said that I come in peace. I'm really sorry for giving off that energy. I do come in peace. I do want you to take care of the shop and my sister. And he immediately softened from anger to sadness and knew where it was coming from. And he immediately decided to tell me his story. His name is Howard, and he was working in the storeroom in the 1920s, and he turned around and his best friend had shot him in the chest to kill him. It was a form of betrayal, and it was completely a sad story. And he had died instantly. That's why his spirit still lingers there. So, and all I could feel was sadness, and it got into a point where I started tearing up myself. So I closed off the communication, thanked him for taking care of my sister, and that was it. And then an hour later, my sister calls me and says that, did you do something? I was like, what do you mean? Could have done anything. First, you tell me what I mean. She said that, she was like, it feels a lot more calmer in here. Before, when I came in, I felt really aggressive. And I was even scared to go down there. And she was like, and I told her what happened. And she was like, oh, that explains so much. So I was like, okay, great. So she thanked me for making contact and actually appeasing him. And I thanked her for, thanked her for just being so generous, you know, because I'm still discovering my gift. So yeah, that is the cowboy in the 100-year-old building. It was the first spirit that I ever encountered. And yeah, so stay tuned for more. It's gonna be exciting. Yeah. Lady 11 signing off. Have a great day.